I remember Robert, the very first day he met you, you left and we're standing by the lockers and he looks at me point blank and goes, that kid will be world champion one day. Mark my fucking words. The first Follisism, the euphemism from Follis, what was the one that stood out for you?
The biggest one is nobody likes warm coffee. Nobody likes warm coffee. You either
cold or hot.
Cold or hot. You either in or you out.
When he lands that wheel kick,
Yep.
how long before you kind of, come back to it?
It was midway through the next round. So it all kind of came back in when we were actually walking onto the bus. And I remember like looking around and looking at all the people there, and I'm like, "What are all these people doing here?" I woke up all of a sudden.
Shit.
I was like, "Fuck, what are all these
you
people?"
went on
I'm like,
instinct
the fight's over.
and finished it.
Yeah,
Pretty much on instinct.
pretty much. Yeah.
Are we going to get the biggest fight of the year, Chad OchoCinco and Keith Lee?
Is that really going down?
I just heard a clip of that
They're
on,
going back and forth?
on Shannon
He
Sharp.
coulda starched that motherfucker.
I think he did.
Yeah.
He did nightcap, right, or something like that.
Yeah. Where he kind of came out and
Ocho,
and
you
said
do
it.
not want
That's
that.
what I
Keith
said.
Lee.
No,
He
but
wants smoke.
I want
He don't
Ocho to
want
keep
smoke.
thinking that he does.
Yeah.
I mean, I might
He
do
doesn't
it.
have to.
I might
Yeah,
do it.
no, you don't
In
have
that video, he did say nobody named Lee can touch him, and I'm sitting back like, what the fuck are you talking about, bro? What
look at
world
Ocho.
are you living in?
Bro, run the
You
tape.
know?
What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Verse Us with Eric Nicksick. He is Eric Nicksick. I'm Randy Famerich, and this is Verse Us. And today we are joined by one of the baddest lightweight dudes on the planet, a man who has fought the who's who at 155, not just in the UFC, but in all professional MMA. Detroit's finest, the Motown phenom, Kevin Lee. Welcome to the show.
bud.
What up, though?
Yeah.
What up, though? Yeah, man.
So good to see
yeah.
you,
My
bro.
guy,
It's
what's
good to
going
see
on,
y'all
man?
boys again.
It's been a
I
minute.
miss y'all.
Yeah.
I miss y'all. I kind of miss being in Vegas a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been 2 years since I've been gone.
Yep.
Down in Florida, getting a different vibe. But whenever you leave, like, and especially you built so many relationships
Sure.
here, like, bro, I can't help but miss it.
You left on good. It wasn't like you left on bad terms or something. You know
Right,
what I mean?
right.
You're always going to be an extension of the family. So when you come home, it's like a family reunion.
Yeah,
for you, you know?
yeah. As soon
hit
as
the
I touch
restaurants
down,
and
bro,
the gym and everything. You know?
yeah, it feels like, bro, I'm back home a little
Yeah,
bit.
hell yeah.
Like, even though this ain't my first home,
Sure.
Detroit is always
Right.
the root. But this, I spent 7 years here, so it feels like nostalgic almost.
Yeah.
Even just hearing y'all on the podcast, like
Yeah.
I told you, I heard you and Dewey, and I'm like, bro, I miss those guys so much.
Yeah.
Just hearing y'all voice,
Got to come back out and see the boys.
I got to,
Yeah.
I gotta make it happen.
No, I was stoked. Like he texted me that week and was like, "Yo, will you have me on the podcast?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah, dude!" So he's, I'm coming out next week. I was like, "Hell yeah, let's do it, bro!" So I was
Yeah.
super stoked to have him out here, man.
Yeah, I'm on the first thing smoking.
Hell yeah.
And like I said, GFL wanted me to do a little bit more media.
Sure.
They had me do the one with me and Pettis did Ariel
Yeah,
Wani
yeah.
show. And then right after that, they're like, bro, you're fucking good at this.
Yeah,
like,
no, you're great at it.
You should do, can you do more of this for us?
Sure.
And I was like,
So
oh,
holler at me
let's do
about
it.
this. I mean, a lot of people, a lot of questions, and
Yeah.
we got guys in our gym that are looking at GFL as well.
Yeah.
So speak on a little bit. What attracted you to go to GFL? What are your
Yeah.
thoughts on the organization?
Yeah, so obviously I'm getting back into fighting, and I'm looking at, okay, what are the options out there? There's always the UFC is there. It's still number one. It's the premier. I don't think that there's gonna be an organization to compete with them. Like, let's just be honest.
Yeah.
It's not.
Not for quite some time, if ever.
It's not. You know what I mean? Like, it's gonna take so much time and so much effort.
Yeah.
I don't see it coming. UFC is the top of the line, but we all know, like, you got to have options.
You got to go
Options
somewhere.
Are
Yes.
always great
Yeah.
for the sport in general.
Yeah, agreed.
And as I'm coming back, like, I really want to make an impact on the sport overall in the larger sport. So this opportunity kind of came out of nowhere. They hit me up. They're like, okay, we're starting up a new league. And I'm like, what? And they're like, teams. Okay, what's going on here? But as I talked with the guy, Darren Owens,
Darren Owen, yeah.
who is
Old World Series of Fighting guy.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember Darren.
Yep. He worked for PFL. He worked for World Series. And then he had his own promotion up in Canada.
Yeah.
So he was somebody who had a lot of experience in promoting fights. And when he brought it to me and we actually like sat and talked about it, he made a lot of sense in what he's trying to do. He's trying to fix some of the problems in MMA,
Sure.
mainly the pay structure, the weight classes, and making sure that guys get retirement money and something for after the fight.
So a little equity in the company for you guys?
So they're splitting the revenue of each event.
Oh.
And they're
so like
splitting
the gate or something.
Right, they're splitting the gate.
Yeah. So I'm sure F&B, ticketing, like all that stuff
Smart.
that goes into it.
Not only that, sponsors too.
Sponsors.
So if they sign like a big sponsor deal, say like they sign Bud Light or something, I think the fighters get 30% of that.
All right, so you're more like an NBA, NFL, where it's a 51-49, 50-50 type
Exactly.
split.
Yep. The way he's structuring it is a 50-50 split with the fighters.
Yeah.
On the actual revenue that we bring in, which is good because it gives us incentive to actually go out and promote it.
Yeah.
Like sometimes when you're doing this promotion for the UFC, like that shit feels like it's in the way.
Yeah.
Especially when you have a main event at the main event and like the media gets to you, bro.
Right.
Yeah.
And these dudes that run the media, they know how to like play little mind games and shit with you. And like it's just another fight on top of having to go in there
and actually
fight a fucking world champion dude, you know?
Right.
And sometimes you get to the point where you're like, why am I doing this?
For what?
My purse is already set.
Right.
Yeah.
Does it really matter if I fucking wake up at 4 a.m. and take 6 calls?
It doesn't motivate you to show up and do this part
Exactly.
of it, right?
Yeah.
But now you have incentive. This is why you're even here.
Yeah.
Because you're motivated to go out and put the best product you can out there because you, the fighter, gets reciprocated back towards you that pay.
Yep.
Smart.
And I think that's something that MMA needs, you know? Like
100%.
Instead of it just being, okay, do this for us now and we'll make it up for you later.
Right.
And it's kind of like a hope and a dream.
Right,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Where now it's in black and white. Like, okay, I get to see all the numbers on the back end. So I get to see what my cut will actually be and how much effort I put into this if I'm actually receiving something back from
A little
it.
sweat equity.
A little bit, you know?
I love it. So talk to me about the teams.
Yeah, the teams, I don't think they're set on the cities yet, but the way it's structured is there's going to be 20 guys per team, 2 per weight class. There's 10 weight classes, and they're going to do like LA versus Vegas, just, you know,
something
just
like
to
that,
throw something out there. And they're going to almost structure it like a wrestling tournament. So in wrestling, you've got your individual matches, but then each individual match scores for the team.
Got you.
So then you could put on for the team gets to go on above and above.
So similar to
playoff.
IFL. IFL used to be like
back
that.
in the day,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people bring up IFL, and I feel like when they do, people almost say, okay, IFL didn't work. But it fucking worked to me.
I thought IFL was great.
Yeah.
I think it was great. I mean, it might not have been UFC level.
But think about what you just said earlier, though. It was a development of talent.
Right.
The Jay Harons, the Mike Piles, the Roy Nelsons, the Ben Rothwells. There was a lot of great
All
talent.
those guys came from IFL.
Yep.
And it was at a time when the sport wasn't a fucking quarter of what the sport is now.
Yeah, 100%.
So if they were doing numbers like that back then, I think this was like 2004, 2005.
A long time ago,
Yeah, it was
fucking
around there.
20 years
Yeah.
ago. Like you can't really.
Still scratching the surface back then. you know?
Yeah.
And I remember like Shamrock was coaching, Boss Root was coaching.
Yep.
Like the coaches' teams were loaded
Yeah, so
too.
what's going to be the deal with that? There's teams. Is there going to be like a head coach of each team or like coaches of each team? How's that work?
I think so. I think he's going to pick a coach to coach whatever city. I think the only one announced so far is that Javier Mendez is going to coach Team Dubai, which makes sense because Javier is really tied with Team Khabib and all those guys and
So
a
it's
lot of the Middle Eastern guys.
There's global teams, right? So Dubai, LA, you know, whatever.
Brazil, I've heard throw out there. I've heard Ireland thrown out there.
Got it.
I think when the draft comes, which is on the 24th
Of this month?
this month,
Wow, okay.
is when they're going to set the teams and they're going to set who's on what team.
Wow.
Got it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so are they, because obviously everything we've seen, it's all notable talent, right? We know these fighters.
Right.
Is there like a plan to sign like or split the teams between like up and comers and notable guys? Or is it all going to be like notable athletes? Or?
I think that's what the draft is for.
Yeah.
So they're structuring almost like the NFL draft where you get guys to come out. Kind of like what they used to do on the Ultimate Fighter, where they'll have guys come out, they'll have them train, and then they'll say, "Oh, okay, we like that guy.
You're my
like,
first pick,
you know?
or I get to pick the first fight."
Exactly.
Yada, yada,
They're doing it like that, and they're gonna live stream the whole draft too, so
cool.
people can look in, they can see, oh, okay, this is a new guy that's coming up. Right now, they just signed a lot of guys who are already established to kind of get the momentum going, you know?
Yeah, I saw you. I saw, I think, Woodley.
Yep.
Page, I think, was one.
Pettis.
Pettis is in there.
There was a few, like quite a few guys.
Gregore Musasi.
Oh, wow.
Gregore Musasi's
Another
in there.
guy,
Like,
nice.
I tell him, any fight with fucking Gregore, I'm watching, bro.
Yeah.
Gregore's a bad motherfucker.
Dude, he's
There's
a
a
dude
lot of
that
guys.
like gets completely like looked over, I feel like, in the history of MMA.
Sure.
He's so
And
fucking
very,
good.
very skilled.
He was
But
so
And he got
so
done
good, bro.
dirty too, though, with this whole situation.
The whole
too, with
PFL.
the PFL Bellator thing, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah,
you know,
me neither,
that
bro.
was another. I was looking at PFL, and they were interested. They never came to me with a solid like, okay, yeah, we want it.
Sure.
But I've known Ray for a long time.
Yeah, of course.
I talked with Ray. He's like,
Yeah.
yeah, bro, anytime. Like, you want to be part of the next season for sure. But then as I'm looking at the back end and they're canceling events, they're doing this and that. I'm like, it didn't seem like a step forward.
Right.
GFL seemed more like, okay, this can actually
New blood.
make some damage in
for sure.
in the MMA
And
space.
you hit it on the head. It's like, you and I always talk about this. You don't need to be McDonald's, right? McDonald's is going to be the king, but Taco Bell is going to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Facts.
And you need places
Yeah.
for these other fighters to be
Facts.
able to go and reestablish or grow,
Facts.
right? So if you're not within the UFC, you should not be a forgotten commodity. But how do you figure out and how do you grow and how do you establish?
Become Burger King, Carl's Jr.
Yeah.
Right.
Sonic.
But if
In
I'm
and
the
out,
UFC,
something like that.
I want these organizations to succeed.
Yep.
They're not competition to me.
Right.
They're just not.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? The lion does not worry about the opinion of a sheep.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Keep doing your thing. You do you.
Yeah.
We're going to try our damnedest to just survive and develop and be something else.
Yeah.
Yep. Or the lions over here, but you got the tiger
Sure.
over there, and
We
they
can
don't
all- we can all
necessarily
be
have to
hunters.
compete.
Yeah.
We can all eat.
Exactly.
Like, and I think that's a space that MMA does need to get to. It's still kind of in a dog eat dog,
Right.
like fuck you, this is mine type
Right.
of.
Yeah.
But
Iron Fist.
it-
That's
what-
how they've been.
Right.
One thing you see with like comedians who I think have done a fucking great job over the last 10
Promoting
years,
each other.
like they help each other out,
promote
bro.
each other? Is
they
that
promote
weird?
each other.
Isn't that crazy?
Ain't it weird?
Isn't it crazy that
And everybody eats.
that they didn't run out of success? That
Yeah.
success in the store wasn't like toilet paper and COVID.
Yeah.
We're out of toilet paper. You can get success.
Facts.
Everyone can find it. What's up, guys? Thank you for watching the show. I appreciate all the comments, all the love, all the support. But if there's anything we can do better, if there's guests you want to see coming on, let us know. Put it in the comments. Tell us what we can do. Now, back to the show.
Facts.
So the more you can cheer other people on and help one another,
Yep.
I'm telling you, it comes back tenfold through experience.
And I feel like you've always kind of had that mindset. You were always pretty great with that. Even in gyms, even sometimes you got, oh, this gym don't fuck with that gym, but you like, bro, if they're good,
Go.
they're good, bro.
Train.
Like, they're
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Train. Like it's not gonna hurt us at
Yeah,
all.
not
Like
at
if
all.
anything, you're just gonna bring
more.
You're gonna bring
Yeah.
more. Like we can all eat. And at the end of the day, MMA is kind of a bubble.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it is. And once you step outside the bubble, you kind of almost see like, oh,
True character.
I was in a bubble, bro.
Yeah,
like
100%.
it's a big fucking world out
One
there.
of my young kids, Mansoor, he's just you'd love this. You'll meet him this week, but he's an amazing talent, just a phenom. Mansoor hits me up and he's like, Coach, Khabib and those guys really want me to train this week, but I'm gonna miss 2 of our practices. Are you okay with that? Yeah, motherfucker.
Yeah.
You better go train with Khabib.
Yeah.
Like, I want you to train with Khabib. Like,
Yeah.
that's the experiences that you should have.
Yep.
If I told him no,
Yeah.
I'm a piece of shit.
Yeah. So
I'm a piece of shit.
A lot of MMA coaches are like that though.
Kids.
They're like, you're either me or
No, bro,
kick rocks or
please.
something.
And if when you do, bring it back and tell us what you learned.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And share your knowledge. But yes, please, anytime you get that experience or that
Yep.
time or that opportunity becomes available to you, take advantage of it.
Yeah, that's the only thing you ask for back, right? Is just come share it with the group. When
Just
you come
share,
back.
yeah.
Right.
You know,
Right.
share
Even
what
if
you
it was
learned.
even if
Share
it
what
was
you
a
learned.
little detail.
Right.
Even if it was an experience. You know what, man? Khabib doesn't let guys blah blah blah. Man, I see why he does.
Yeah.
Whatever. You can learn from any experience. It's all about the perspective. But when you have the opportunity to train with that guy,
Yep.
go take it, do
Yeah.
it, get it
Don't
in.
just stay in
Yeah.
one place. I mean, this is martial arts. Fucking travel the world and learn.
And how does it evolve?
That's the only way
That's
it
the
evolves.
only way it evolves,
That's
man.
the only way it evolves.
Yeah.
And then you come back and you share what you've
Exactly.
known.
How's Killcliff?
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah. I love it
Some
up there.
dogs in there, bro.
It's a dog eat dog
Yeah.
situation.
There's
But
some
it's cool.
dogs.
Everybody's respectful. It's just a a giant playground. It's like the Disneyland of MMA fighters.
I just talked to Henry yesterday. I won't tell you what we talked about, but because me and that motherfucker are old crusty dudes. But Henry's my guy, dude.
Henry's cool. Henry's cool as shit. Like he don't really. Henry don't let nothing bother him. He don't let nothing affect him. Yeah. He's just on to the next, which you need in MMA, you know, like.
But he's like that old timer, like, you know what I mean? Just like the cigarette hanging out of his lip, wearing a wife beater. He's just crusty. Yeah. You know? He's always talking shit. He's like, I only like you and my wife. Like, you know?
And he mean that. And he mean that, bro. He fucking means it. Cool, I like it. Because he's himself. You could tell, like it comes through. Like even just being around him, like he's a cool dude.
And then you get the dynamic between him and Greg Jones, who's you know that I love that personality dynamic between the two.
I love Greg. Greg is the one that kind of I feel like holds the team together.
Got a soul.
You know, he's got like he's got that old wrestling mentality of and he's a leader too. Yeah. You know, and that's rare to find. Like
seen him on the mat, a legit leader. And, you know, what I mean, doing his thing, bro. And on the road.
Yep.
As we get to know coaches better, right? Is when you get them outside the gym, you see them on the road, you see their work ethic. Yep. The work ethic is different when it comes to on the road shit.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that type of grind, and you know, that's where I get to know these guys. Yep. I don't get it. I've been in the gym once before, but being around them on the road, man, they're just great individuals. Yeah. And I see Sean Soriano taking over a little bit more. Yeah. You know, Coach Jason Stout taking over more.
And I like that they let fighters like Sean, who's already, you know, fought for so long, they let him teach, you know. Yeah. Gilbert Burns just did a class last week, which, you know, you get to fucking learn from Gilbert. Gilbert's one of the highest medal ADCC winners that the sport has. Like,
and Gil and I go way back.
Yeah.
Gil was training with us at Extreme with Vitor, and Gil spoke a lick of English.
Wow.
A lick of English. And Gilbert was fucking people up.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, Gilbert was. Bro.
Yeah,
so really? Vitor brought Gilbert Burns into Extreme. So I've known Gilbert forever.
Okay.
Bro. Solid dude.
Vitor's another guy. Just so much experience
and knowledge.
Like even when we were talking about this whole contract thing and everything, Vitor is the one that I was kind of going back and forth with. Yeah. Because this guy's been around the sport since 1999, bro. Before I had any, I didn't get involved till maybe 2009. Before I knew what the fuck MMA was, it was Vitor. Yeah. And I wish more promoters would start to lean on that. Sure. And that's one of the things he talked about, because he's seen so many different promotions go up, down, fizzle out, where it's like, this dude has all the knowledge that you need. And it seems like some promoters will go to a guy who graduated college, you know what I mean? And kind of lean on his experience.
Right. Rather than the guys that have been in the weeds.
That have really done it.
Yeah.
But for some reason, when you fight, people kind of look at it like, oh, you're just a fighter. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck do you know?
Yeah.
You know,
but
like,
I mean, they went to college in that particular realm. Right. They know the fight game.
That's their university.
We had Jay and Pyle on a couple weeks ago. And that was a lot of the things that we spoke about. But the big thing that we kind of talked about was when it's done, like the Martin Campmans of the world, right? Just forgot about.
Yeah.
Like they don't bring him up. Crazy. They don't bring him around. They don't talk about him anymore. And I get that. Like, you're not going to put the money machine behind these old heads, but there's resources there for these guys, right? There's information for them.
There's information.
Right? Yeah. But if they're not going to be on the desk or they're not going to do this, they're pretty much forgotten about.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is a shame.
It is.
You know, it's a shame.
Yeah.
And even if it's somebody who, you know, you can't put everything on Dana and the execs at the UFC or something.
Yeah.
But there's so many people involved in MMA where somebody should grab that guy and be like, hey, you know, teach me what you know.
Sure.
It seems like people almost like branch out and just try and do their own thing from scratch.
Right.
But learn from the people who have already done
paved the way.
He did that.
Yeah, he paved the way.
Why would you not have Martin Campman come in and show you how to run a gym?
Right.
You know how many gyms that dude's fucking been in?
Right.
You know how many times he's done this? Yeah. Why would you not go to him? And I think it's just because they look at him like, oh, you're just a fighter. Like, what the fuck do you know?
Send it on.
It's crazy to me.
Yeah, man. Vitor... God, dude, I'm thinking back now. Like at one point, I remember Randy's rounds were Vitor, Vandelay, Forrest Griffin, like just the murder's row of 205 in that gym. Throw Drysdale in the mix, you know, like even the level of jiu-jitsu that was at Extreme way back then, dude. There was fucking killers in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gilbert rolling in, don't speak a lick of English,
Yeah.
and just rolling every motherfucker up way back then. Yeah.
I love how Extreme has always been kind of like a mainstay.
For sure.
And continues to get better and better, you know?
It's got that, you know, of course, like, you know, time goes and people retire and they change, but I think we've always done a good job of, you know, like that. In a lot of ways, I feel like we're like Alabama or Florida State or one of those programs where you just keep getting those 5 stars in the gym, right?
Yeah.
And you were one of those guys. Like I remember when you first came to Extreme, you and I sitting talking, and it was like, I remember Robert, the very first day he met you. You left and we're standing by the lockers, and he looks at me point blank and goes, that kid will be world champion one day. Mark my fucking words.
Yeah.
I remember, I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
And to kind of tail on that, and what I remember from my perspective being proud of you about was when you got to Extreme, you were what? 21? 21 years old.
Yep.
And here's what I told Robert. I said, as long as Vegas doesn't consume him, he will be, I 100% agree. Yeah. And I always make this point to people when they talk about moving to Vegas. I always bring up the story with Kevin. A young 21-year-old kid moves to Las Vegas and doesn't never even go on the strip.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was, lived in the fucking gym.
Yeah.
And that's what I knew. I'm like, okay, this dude's going to make it. And I think you had just moved to Vegas after your debut.
Correct.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
Yeah. And I was kind of lost. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do. I was actually headed to Cali. Yeah. And I just happened to stop by here. Like,
gas.
Fuck, might as well. And my original coach is a guy named Sean Dezay.
Yeah.
Shout out to Sean. He was coached with Dewey. They went to One Kicks together. And he's like, oh, yo, while you there, you got to stop, see Dewey Cooper. Dewey Cooper was actually the first one I went to. And as soon as I met the dude, like, I was like, oh, this is the most genuine motherfucker that I've ever met in my life, bro. Yeah. Like, he didn't know me from a can of paint, but because he knew I was Sean's guy, brought me to his house.
Family.
He was like, bro, where you staying? Like, bro, I'll get you a place to stay. Like, I was going to sleep in my car.
Yeah.
And he was like, bro, I'll give you a place to stay. Yeah. You know, oh, go down here. You can train over here. You can train over there. Go to Extreme. And when I walked into Extreme, I didn't know that Robert told you that on day one.
Oh, yeah.
I just would remember being by the lockers and having this big, like, you know, Robert almost felt larger than life, just booming ass voice on me. He's like, put his hand on my shoulder. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah. And he was like, bro, we would love to have you here. And I was like, bro, this is where I'm at. Like that night, I kind of like was in the city, kind of overlooking the city, and I was like, "Bro, this is my spot. This is what I'm doing." You know?
Yeah. Talk a little bit about, because you and I have very similar experiences with Robert as far as our mentorship. You and I, this is where you and I connected. For the people that understand, it's like we leaned on each other heavily because Robert was like our mentor.
Yeah.
But when you meet a guy like Robert Follis, like right away, and you told me this, the impact that he had on you the day you met him, huh?
Yeah. He showed me like a different level of a person that you could get to, you know? Like, I've always been kind of like a shy guy, like, and kind of weird, kind of off to myself and kind of doing my own thing. But when I met him, I'm like, bro, this dude is so, I don't even know the word to say for it. Like, he had like just such a big presence to him. And you could tell he had a ton of knowledge, and he actually like really cared about you. Like, I've never really been, even to this day, I'm not much of like a team guy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really feel like I mesh well with like a group of guys. But when you meet that one guy where it's like, this is my guy, you know what I mean? Like, bro, like, yeah, this my guy. And he wasn't impressed by me. Like, or if he was, he never showed that to me. You know what I mean? Like, you know how some people will kind of kiss your ass and be like, oh, he's got some talent, let me kiss his ass and you know, suck up to him. He was never that. Like, he always was like genuinely himself, but seriously cared for me. And seriously like wanted to see me do better. And he would show up at the gym super early. If I didn't show up, because sometimes that's how it be, bro. Like, he gonna call me like, hey, bro, what you doing? Like, you sleeping? Like, what are you doing? And he just pushed me to get to that next level. And a lot of it was him telling me that he could see world championship in me.
100%.
And that's why I can't stop now. That's why I'm not satisfied with anything that I've done in my career.
I'm looking back at your record. What was the first fight with Robert? I'm trying to pull it up.
The
right now.
first fight was against
Ronson.
It was Jesse Ronson.
Jesse Ronson.
Jesse Ronson was the first.
So
fight.
we're looking at July 2014.
Yep.
So so for the viewers, Kev came right after the short notice fight versus Ali Quinta.
Correct.
Right.
To Extreme Couture.
Came to Extreme.
Got it.
So and then the Jesse Ronson fight was the second fight in the UFC. It was a split decision.
Yep.
John Tuck, who I remember being a really gifted kid from Guam.
Yep.
Tough dude. Michelle Perez, I remember him was a fucking
tank.
Is that the
bro.
dude who's little?
Yeah.
But he was like,
oh yeah,
stacked.
he's
Stacked.
yeah.
He's a 170 pounder
bro.
now. Yeah.
He was, I think he ended up being a
Stacked, bro.
170 guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
The first Follisism, the euphemism from Follis, what was the one that stood out for you?
The biggest one is nobody likes
Warm
coffee. Nobody likes warm
No one
coffee.
likes warm coffee.
You
It's
either
cold or hot.
Cold or hot. You either in or you out. Which, speaking on that, right? Because when I get there, I have a 4-fight win streak right out the gate with Follis, right?
Yep.
My first loss in the
Santos.
UFC was Leonardo Santos,
And you put Drysdale in your
who
corner.
was Jose Aldo's jiu-jitsu coach.
Yep.
One of the best jiu-jitsu players at 155.
Yep.
And me being kind of like, being dumb, really.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I know how to fight. Like, I'm on this big win streak. You know, I'm 21. I'm like, bro, I got this shit. Like, oh, okay, let me skip out a little bit and let me have Drysdale in my corner instead of using Robert. And after that fight, I just realized like I made a huge mistake.
Sure.
I like, I went to Rob. I was like, bro, I'll never have another fight again without you being in my corner.
You overthought it. I remember talking to you about it. You just overthought the situation that like you needed a specialist.
Yeah.
I remember you talk like I need and I'm like, bro, it's MMA.
Yeah.
And Robert can coach fucking badminton.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. But remember, it was more about having him there rather than it was about the coaching. And look, Drysdale didn't do anything wrong, right? You got hit with a fucking uppercut.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like
overhand right.
Was it overhand?
I threw the uppercut. He
And
threw
he
the
caught
overhand.
you, yeah.
He kind of did the
That's
Chuck
right.
Liddell
Yep.
and Rashad
right.
Evans thing.
Because I remember when you said I don't like throwing uppercuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To this day,
Yeah,
I won't
don't throw
throw. I
no fucking
never throw a
uppercut.
naked uppercut, bro. So
Yeah.
if you out there, don't throw naked uppercuts.
And
Especially against a guy with
behind
a
the
good right hand.
scenes, and Robert and I, Follis and I being so close, I remember him never like showing any animosity towards you because of that, because of your choice. I remember him being like, well, you know, I mean, he's gonna have to learn and this and that and whatever. And he was, you know, it stung, and then the way you handled it to correct the situation, it happens in this game, right? Like we have to have short memory.
Almost. Yep.
But it's hey, you learned your lesson.
Yep.
Boom, move it on. And then the next fight was who?
After that one,
Yeah.
Escudero. Yeah.
That's when you went on your streak to get to the interim title fight, right? Yeah, that was a crazy streak, man.
Yeah, and it was really because Rob was more. He put me in the right mindset.
Yeah,
like he would even hypnotize me before fights.
Really?
Yeah, we would go up to the top layer of Extreme where that wrestling room is.
Yep.
He would have me lay on my back. He would run me through whatever he did. It was just the mindset that he would bring to it.
Sure.
I mean, sure, it was the techniques, and he's coached so many world champions. He's got a plethora of techniques, but he always had me in the right mindset to go out there and actually compete to the best of my ability.
Yeah.
I think that was something that he did far more than any other coach I've ever been around, was his attack to the mental side of the game.
Yeah.
Him and Randy Couture. Randy was very much in the mental side of the game. Randy was the first fighter that I knew that ever hired a mental coach, right? And he didn't care about stereotypes. He wanted to win. And if that meant he had a female, mental coach to help him get through whatever, and it meant he was going to win, by all means, he was going to do so.
Yep.
But Robert had that same sort of technique or that same approach.
Yep.
And a lot of things, I think that the mental warfare that Robert had, not only to get you in the right mind spot, but like, man, he was the guy you called.
Yeah.
Marital advice.
Facts.
I got to fight with my girl.
Facts.
And Robert talk to you and get you out of it. And he would tell you some fucking euphemism or some story or something, and it would make sense to you in the moment. And he would help you get through it.
Yeah, you heard it. I've heard a number of fighters, I should say, from XC, say the same thing, that it wasn't so much like, yes, he knew technical abilities in fighting, but it was more so just like the mental approach. I remember Misha Tate saying something like that.
Time. He was huge for Misha.
Yeah. You know, was with her when she won the title and everything, but other athletes too. And he was, like, to your point, like this larger than life, like God, almost like godly figure, like, because his voice was so deep. When he touched you, he looked into your fucking soul when he spoke to you. You know, like
that coffee breath.
But man, he really he just like he connected with you. I hear a lot of fighters say that. It was just a different level of connection.
Yeah, his aura was definitely coffee breath. For sure, bro. Like, if you can smell it walk into the room, you know.
But man, he was so smart in any area and facet of life. Like, he was like the fucking Mr. Miyagi, right? Or just Yoda when it came to anything and everything. Like, you can go to him and get sound, good advice, and maybe even through his own life experiences, he was able to speak on those things. And like, man, like, miss him. Miss him. You know?
Absolutely, And just to hit your point earlier, like, it's guys like that who really pave the way for the sport. That is my job, just to make sure that doesn't be forgotten about. You know 100%. What I mean? Or just fade away.
I take him with me to every fight.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, we had our differences his last year of his life. Things changed in his life with the death of his brother, you know, the unexpected suicide of his brother. And that took a lot out of him. That took more out of him than I think anything ever did. But the change in Follis was, it hurt all of us. You and I talked about this time and time again, like how much, you know, we wanted the best for Rob, and we were trying to get him through this dark times of his life. But once time kind of heals that, I would have these vivid dreams of Robert would come to me in my dreams after his passing. And I would just see him bright and vibrant and yellow and like almost like in a place of happiness. And I needed to have those moments to let go of the last year of the times that him and I didn't get along. Of like, you know, there was things with character issues and all these things that we just knew that wasn't Robert. It wasn't Robert. And then he would come to me and kind of laugh about stuff, and I can see him like he's in a good place wherever he's at. And not only that, like, I still stay in contact with Rick, his brother, and being able to talk to Rick. Like, I talk to Rick once or twice a week, maybe monthly, whatever. It is what it is. Like, we back and forth. Is damn near like talking to Robert, because they sound the same. They're the same, like everything about them. So having Rick in my life is having a piece of Robert.
How for those who don't know, like, you know, Robert, you know, took his own life. Right after his brother died, right? Like, not too long after, but
it was shortly after
December 2017.
Yeah.
So I fought Tony in October 2017. Keith actually fought in December, and Robert was supposed to go out for that fight, and for some reason he didn't show up, and we were like, okay, we gonna make it happen. Keith wins that fight. We go to the after party, which wasn't really after party. We just, you know, sat by a bar somewhere, and Chael Sonnen actually gave me the call right after his fight happened, and told me about it, and it hit hard. But it was almost like a what? Like,
not him.
Like, what? Like, not they don't even, like, bro, this is not the time for jokes and games. Like, we out having a good time and all that. Like, don't call me with the bullshit. But sometimes I think, and it goes to your point, like, you don't necessarily know what somebody's going through. And that's the hard part, especially about having relationships as an adult. It's hard to really fully take account of everything that somebody's going through. I think the last year was really rough, and losing that fight was very rough on all of us, I think. So I don't know if that played a part in it, but there is a part of me that feels like, oh, if I had won that fight,
you can't
and been a world champion, and that's part of the motivation for me to keep going and actually let him see what he saw in me, could actually be a reality one
Sure.
day. I can't stop. I can't let the story end the way that it's ended.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I think that being in the shoes I am today now, with the amount of time I've had in this space, understanding what Robert was going through, even when it came to the fighters in the MMA space.
It's unforgiving,
It's
bro.
very unforgiving.
It's unforgiving.
And
Yeah.
I remember, Robert talking about just, it's a job of servitude.
Yeah.
You're giving your life to these fighters, and very rarely is it ever reciprocated even correctly back towards you.
Right.
Yeah.
Very rarely do you ever get a phone call from somebody going, "Hey, how are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there anything I can do for you? Let me check in on coach. Let me see how he feels," and blah, blah. Those things add up.
Yeah.
And myself and Dennis have talked about this ad nauseum. And especially after Robert's passing, because I think the burden of understanding who and what Robert Follis was put on our shoulders immediately once Robert passed away. And that's where, like even for myself and Kevin, our relationship was always bros. And then it was like, yo, you're now going to be my other guy, you and Dewey. So I was thrusted in a position to where I was never going to be able to replace Robert in his eyes. Right. Eventually I would be a coach that I am today, but I was never going to be Robert Follis for Kevin.
Yeah.
I had to be Eric.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
Which made it hard to I think evolve our relationship a little bit, because like you said, Robert came to you in a few dreams, which is awesome to hear. The only time I seen him was in that fight with Barbosa. It was you and Dewey in my corner.
Yep.
And
Keith.
And you, Dewey, and Keith were in my corner, and Rob was there too. And that was the last
and
time.
Corey, we can't leave out Corey.
Chills,
yeah, Corey Goodwin. Yeah. Shout out Corey Goodwin.
Was he in their dreams when you got hit with the wheel kick?
Yeah, bro.
Hey,
God damn it!
Crazy enough, bro. Going into that fight, I was like, this motherfucker is not putting me on a highlight reel.
No,
I don't care what he do, what he's not putting me on a highlight reel.
Bro.
I'll be damned. He hit me with the hardest shot that he can throw, literally.
Yeah.
And it was just something about that fight. It was one of those fights where it's like, bro, I'm not fucking losing.
100%.
Like, you're not winning today. Like, I don't care what you do, you're not winning. And it was a couple of times with Rob in my corner where that was just the decision that I made.
Yeah.
I remember the fight with down in Brazil with Francisco Trinaldo, and he was throwing heat, bro. He was throwing heat at me, but I just was like, bro, you're not winning.
Yeah.
Magomed Mustafayev.
That was one of my favorite
guy.
fights of yours, by the way.
That dude
Ireland, right?
Yeah, it was in
Yeah,
Ireland.
that was one of my favorite fights of yours.
Fucking fantastic, bro.
Yeah.
He was so strong, so aggressive,
So good.
so fucking good. And it's a shame nobody really talks about him. I think he retired after that fight.
Yeah,
he did.
he was good.
He was a dog.
He was throwing
Jake
heat
Matthews,
at me.
another dog.
And he was still doing great now.
Yep.
But in those fights, it was just like Rob just had me in the mindset like, bro, I'm not losing. Like, I don't care what you do.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not
he had
fucking
a presence
losing, bro.
about him, 100%.
Yeah.
Wasn't it funny how you could hear his voice cut through fucking anything?
20,000 people,
I could
20,000
be
Brazilians, bro.
anywhere, and you'll hear the Robert Follis, like, how long's a piece of string? You're like, I don't know how long a piece of string is, Rob. Like, but you
I wish I
hear
had
that.
them idioms, you know?
Oh,
And
yeah.
I wish I could tell a
But I told
story
you about
like
the
him,
one about
bro.
the pot roast.
Bro, what?
Remember? Like the pot roast. Man, one time, every time you tell this fucking song, dude, it's
That
best.
motherfucker could tell a story.
he'll tell a
like
story.
Nobody else, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I had that in me. I'm a little bit socially awkward. I ain't necessarily got them same gifts that he got, but I wish.
That's the beauty of
one
life,
day.
man. Like,
I wish.
sometimes we have people like that can speak for us in a lot of those ways. But bro,
Take some of those.
that Barbosa fight,
Mm-hmm.
dude, I gotta say, like, this is one of my favorite things too. We are about to leave to go to the venue, and it's you, me, Dewey, Marquel, Keith, Corey, and you go, yo, E, let's plug the tape on before we leave. We put it on TV, and we're watching it, and I'll never forget this. You look over at me and you go, do you see what that was? You see what he did? And I'm like, no. You go, let me play it back. Did it again. You see what I see? No, like, do it again. He goes, every time he does this with his gloves, he throws the kick.
Yeah.
Remember? You
Yep.
saw it.
Yep.
And you go, I'm gonna time that shit. I'm gonna time this motherfucker. I know when it like you caught a read.
Yep.
I'm not even exaggerating. 30 minutes, 45 minutes. We're all in our gear, like ready to walk down to the venue.
Yeah.
And he goes, let's watch this shit one more time. And he caught the read.
Yeah.
And sure as shit.
Yeah.
He just the first round goes, and Barbosa's head is next to me and Dewey in the cage.
Yeah.
And Kevin is beating the fucking brakes off of him.
Dude.
And I look over at Barbosa, I'm like, hey, you fucking hate life right now, huh? And he like looks up and he's like, fucking sucks. This fucking sucks. It was going downhill from there.
Dude.
And then, bro, I remember it was whatever round it was, and we're getting the corner, and Dewey's like, Kevin, mind your P's and Q's. This motherfucker's dangerous.
Yeah.
And then comes out and throws that wheel kick, and the loudest scream in the whole arena was Keith Lee. Keith, no! Remember? God, no! And then he shot on him and took him down.
Yeah.
And that was that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That was that.
And finished him in the fifth round.
Yeah,
Yeah.
shut him down, dude.
That was one of the most. That was the only time when I was working at UFC, the only time where I was like, I'm scared for this man's life.
Oh, dude.
Like, dude, I'd never seen someone get. Even Khabib didn't do that to him. Like the way you did that to him,
He did it better than Khabib.
Oh my god, I was scared.
We
I was like,
talked about this.
I was like, this dude is gonna kill this man.
Khabib had beat him that way.
Yep.
The blueprint was there.
Yep.
And I'm like, Kev, you could beat this dude worse than Khabib did.
Yep.
And he did. And he fucking steamrolled him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steamrolled him. And then so the fight's over, we go get a slice, and we're all eating pizza, right? And Kevin orders a slice of pizza, and he's about to put it in his mouth and eat. And I go, hey, that's about a $75,000 slice of pizza right there. And you just wait by a pound.
Yeah.
And he's like, just has a slice of pizza and just throws it on the
like,
fucking
oh,
plate.
fuck,
He's
bro.
like, fuck you, man.
Bro.
Yeah, that was a great fight. I feel like when I was in the mode and stuck to the game plan and was able to execute properly, like guys, especially at 155, like I was very, very hard to deal with.
Real quick,
Very hard to deal
before we
with.
move on. When he lands that wheel kick,
Yep.
how long before you come back? Like, obviously you're there, but your equilibrium's off. How long before you kind of, come back to?
It was midway through the next round, probably. So it was probably like 3 or 4 minutes after that. I kind of came back to, and I'm like, okay, all right, let me get back on the game plan.
Yeah.
Let me stick to, because the only reason I got hit with that kick is because I veered off of the game plan. So maybe 3 or 4 minutes after getting hit with that kick, then I kind of turned it back on.
Because you grabbed him like
Yeah.
whatever 10 seconds after he hit you with it.
Yep.
When you're on him and
That was
holding him
instinct.
down.
Instinct.
Right. So you're
Pure
not even
instinct.
there.
No, I'm not there. No.
Holy shit.
And I didn't really fully come back until we're walking into the back. And I
Oh my
remember
God.
kind of everything kind of clicking back on. And it's such a weird feeling when you get concussed like that.
Yeah.
It's like you're there, but you're almost like a couple steps back from
Like you're
yourself.
looking at it from like a bird's eye view or some shit.
Yeah. You're like behind yourself
Yeah.
looking at it.
Wow.
So it all kind of came back in when we were actually walking onto the bus. And I remember like looking around and looking at all the people there. And I'm like, what are all these people doing here? like I woke up all of a sudden.
Shit.
I was like, fuck, what are
So
all these
you
people?
went on
I was like,
instinct
the fight's over.
And finished him
Yeah.
pretty much on instinct.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, pretty much all
dude.
off of, and that goes to the training.
Yeah.
You know, you only get that if
Yeah.
you're extremely well prepared and well trained.
Did you have a moment even throughout the fight after the kick where you like, Kevin, you motherfucker, like, you know what I mean? Like thinking to yourself, like, God damn it.
Not till I saw the tape, because I didn't know what he hit me with. I had no idea, bro.
Right, you didn't
I had no idea what
It
he
was
hit me
that
with.
fast
When
and-
it was that fast, and the whole room went like this, and I was
shit.
like, "What the fuck is going on?" You know, like I had no idea what he hit me with.
That's when Keith did the floss.
Yeah.
Doing the floss
Oh
after the
yeah,
fight
remember that in
was
the
over.
cage afterward?
Oh, yeah.
I forgot about
Yeah.
that.
Keith's first viral moment.
Yeah.
When the fucking
The
First
floss in
of
the cage.
fucking many.
Yeah,
huh?
First of
yeah.
many, bro. He was born for it.
Yeah, he was.
He was
He
fucking
doing
born
that.
for it,
I
dude.
forgot all about that.
Oh yeah,
That shit
I mean,
was
you want
weird.
to talk about like some great times too, as I've had with his brother.
Yeah.
You know, like on the road. I was in Morocco with his brother.
Yeah, that
And-
Morocco fight was
and-
awesome.
Great fight. You know,
was
I thought he
awesome.
got robbed, to be honest with you. But
Yeah.
I mean, like we got to travel the world with these guys, and not
Yeah.
only
Yep.
Kevin, but also with Keith. He was the team's little brother, if you
Yep.
will.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways too, could have been better than you. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
Keith had unbelievable fucking talent.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
I think he is better than me.
Yeah,
like people ask me all the time, like, bro, I think 100% he's better than me. Yeah. He's better. He's already proven that he can be bigger.
Sure.
And I think, bro, the sky's the limit. Like that kid can really. He's already in a superstar status.
Sure.
I think he can take it even further.
But he always had a passion for what he was doing with TikTok. I didn't know how good he can cook, but he used to come in and cook and do all kinds of other things. But he really took this by storm. Yeah. But it was always kind of like, it was always his thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was always his thing. Yeah. That was Keith's way of doing his thing.
Yeah. Speaking on that, and that was a reason why when he was always monumental in my corner.
Sure.
But I never really wanted to push him too far.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Because he was fighting at the same time. And I knew, given where I was in the sport, that I could push him further than he needed to go. But I didn't want him to get stuck in the space of, this is Kevin's little brother.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Even for his own mentality.
Yeah.
And sometimes he would look at me and be like, bro, why don't you do this or do that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, just wait on it. Like, bro, it takes its time, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you got to take time with it. It's a slow burn. If I push you too far, I think he could have been stuck in where he's at.
Right.
And now you see the fruits of that labor.
But a lot of it too, and it is weird because I just remember that kid just crying to me, you know, like just emotional because of some of the decisions that he would get.
Yeah.
And it was like, or Keith, I don't know why the universe does this right now.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, on the other side of this, there's something else.
Yeah.
And I meant more for fighting.
Yeah.
There's a purpose,
right.
you know, and I had no idea it was going to be for TikTok and the food critic and everything else. But my point to him and we always knew there was a potential for him.
Yep.
And I swear to God, I thought the kid could be a world champion when it came, and so did Follis.
Yeah.
Follis was
absolutely
really felt that way for him.
Absolutely.
Do you remember when we were in Morocco and then we almost fucking threw down with the whole entire Russian mob? Me and you, and like Jeremy Kennedy and Keith.
What happened?
At the weigh-ins?
Yeah. Tell the story.
Is Keith fighting at Bellator at this time?
No,
who's fighting?
He was fighting for Brave.
He was fighting with Brave.
Regional.
Got it.
And then Jeremy had just gotten released by the UFC. He goes 3-1 in the UFC. His only loss in the UFC is to Volkanovski. Jeremy goes to Brave. And then so happens little bro gets on the Brave card as well. So we're out there, you know, Keith's like, yo, big bro, I'm coming on this card. Can you help us out? Yep, we got you. So he's going to fly out a little later because he had shit to do. But this is about the time when we were wanting to fight Khabib, right? This is like
to your credit, out. Just so the audience knows, because there's a lot of new fans and stuff, you were calling out Khabib in like 2015, bro. 2016.
Yeah.
Like, you were there long before you were about to fight Chiesa and still talking about Khabib. You know what I mean? Like this was long before he was champion and all that. So I just want to preface that.
I can see the writing on the wall.
So we go to weigh-ins that day, and you know there's safety in numbers, right? Like there's a lot of these fucking Russian dudes. There were a lot of them.
But
was Keith or Jeremy fighting a Russian dude or
Keith? No, neither of them.
No, neither one.
Neither one.
They were just there.
They're there on their card. There was other guys on the card.
Got it.
You know, and
I'm just trying to figure out how you guys stumbled into the Russian mob.
Because you know Russians, you know they can get a little defensive of their guys. Territorial, maybe the word.
Yeah,
and Kevin ain't gonna bite his tongue.
No, not at all.
That day
not at all. Not at all.
It was literally at weigh-ins.
Yeah.
And outdoor, and it was this whole thing popped off, and it was the four of us, and we literally like straight A-team, all backs to back to back.
It is what it is. Like
whoever,
I ain't scared of nothing.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
It's just you guys in a circle.
We're
like the
just gonna
Avengers.
keep throwing.
It was probably about 20 Russians.
There was a lot.
Russians.
It was a lot
of Russians.
But the funny thing about it is that when you saw them individually, there was nothing was being said.
Yeah.
It's a pack mentality.
It's
always a pack mentality, and I don't see why they necessarily. I never come across as disrespectful.
Sure.
Or at least I don't try to.
Sure.
If anything, if I want to fight you, that means I got the utmost respect for you. This is sport.
Yeah.
Not only Khabib, but I was pushing really hard to fight Islam before he got to the level where he's at. After I won that fight in New York, I was really pushing to fight Islam in Moscow. they were coming back with Charles Oliveira in Brazil, which ended up happening.
COVID.
But I was so pressed with fighting Islam first.
Yeah.
And this was before Islam was even sniffing a title.
Right.
But it's just because
remember, Ali would always talk about Islam being better than Khabib.
Right.
I remember Ali was preaching about Islam well before we knew who he was.
Right.
But it was always Ali's like, wait, you think Khabib's good? Wait till you see Islam.
And I was hearing that chatter, not just from a couple people.
Yeah,
and
100%.
I believed it. I was like, I started watching him and actually watching the guy, and I was like, oh, he's fucking good.
Yeah.
Like, I want to test myself against that.
Yeah.
Like, this is fighting. Like, that's what I'm here for. I want to test myself against the best.
That dude in New York, you sent to the fucking shadow realm.
Oh.
I haven't seen him since. I forget his name. Gregory, right?
Gillespie.
Yeah.
Gregory
Holy fuck.
Yeah. I think I retired a couple guys.
That
if I'm
head
being
kick
honest.
was like, good Lord. Anyway.
That was a crazy fight. And I mean, and a lot of that credit goes to Faraz Zahabi, but me and you trained that kick.
Oh, FaceTime it.
For one, Dewey is the one to give me the kicks that I have.
Yeah.
Which out of every facet of MMA, I do think I'm one of the best kickers.
Fuck.
And it's a lot of the training that Dewey would give me.
Yeah.
He would have so many little drills that at the time you don't really see the benefit of them. But as you continue to grow into it, you're like, bro, that's what I needed.
Sudden.
And it came across years later. You actually see the fruits of that.
Yep.
But it's just, we built it brick by brick by brick. And yeah, me and you talked about it over FaceTime as I was over in Canada getting ready for it.
Yeah.
You're always one of the guys that I kind of lean on as far as breaking film down. You're a master at breaking film down.
Yeah, thank you.
So when I need to go over film with somebody, you're the fucking guy. I don't know if you get it from football.
Man, fuck, I don't know, but
you're incredible.
That was one of my favorite. I call that combination to this day the Kevin Lee. If I say it to Kai or I say it to the boys, it's Kevin Lee. So the read was, so we're watching tape, and Gregor would always shoot off this angle here with his head this side.
Correct.
It'd either go this way or he backed out that way.
Correct. Yep.
One or the other. So what we talked about with Kev was if you, and Kevin set it up brilliantly, slip inside overhand. And what happened was the right shoulder went out. If the right shoulder goes out, you step through and do the kick.
Yep.
We're literally on FaceTime with each other when he's out in Montreal.
Yep.
And we're talking about this whole thing. And we're like going back and forth. He's like, okay, so the shoulder, I'm like, yeah, and then fucking kick his head. Right? So he lands the goddamn thing. And I'm there watching because we're in the back. And Donald Trump. Donald Trump was his first event as president at MSG.
As sitting president.
So we all had to sit in the fucking dressing room. From start to finish, remember? They brought us all in there. The whole
it was nuts. The Secret Service,
dude.
I hated
I
it.
forgot about that. I remember Amber. You guys remember Amber, right?
Oh yeah,
operations.
Of course.
I'll never forget this, bro. So we're just for my quick story. When I was at UFC. So it was, I think Corey Anderson was about to fight. That's when Trump came. I think that was the fight that was about to happen.
One fight before mine.
Yes. And they shut everything down. So and he was fighting Johnny Walker because he knocked Johnny Walker out. So Corey's there by the ropes or the curtain, and Johnny's back there, or vice versa. And dude, Secret Service rolls in. I'm talking dudes with fucking snipers and like all these guns in the back hallway, and they're like, "Do not move." Like literally, they were telling us like, "Do not move." I couldn't walk to the curtain. We couldn't do shit. We couldn't go capture content. Wherever you were, you stayed. And I'll never forget. Amber comes running out and she's like, "We gotta move. We're on live TV, blah, 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 this and that." And this Secret Service agent goes, "Amber, the president of the fucking United States just got here. Sit down." And like, bro, or like something to that effect. But the words were, "The president of the fucking United States just got here." And she was like, Matt, because she's head of operations. She got a shoulder run. She's got to do all this thing. But I'll never forget the president of the fucking United States just got here. Sit down or relax.
What'd she
calm
do?
down. Everybody was just like, she was mad, but everybody, what are you gonna do? These motherfuckers got snipers and guns and everybody, and like Johnny Walker's jumping around and Corey's jumping. They're trying to stay warm. Because it was like 15 minutes maybe. Which is an eternity when you're trying to stay warm.
So we get word. We get word. Literally maybe the day before or the day of that they're going to make us check in at the prelim fight, no matter where you were at on the card.
Yeah.
And put us all in the same locker room. We were all packed in this fucking locker room. You remember that?
Yeah.
So, Kev had, went out to train with Faraz. Dewey's there, I'm there. We're all there together, but we're all stuck in this fucking room.
And they didn't let Faraz in. They thought he was like a terrorist or
Goddamn
something. He's Canadian, he's Middle Eastern, he's got the beard and all that. They held him for like most of the warm up.
I remember
So we did the warm up without him.
Yeah, I remember that. Because I stayed back there with you guys. I remember that, dude. That was crazy.
We did the warm up without him, and Javier Mendez staring daggers at me. Because we were all in that one room, and I think he had Imanov or something. He had somebody on the card, and he was just staring daggers. It was hilarious.
Dude, that was crazy. And this is
crazy,
back
crazy
when we could bet on fights. I remember fucking loading up on this motherfucker because he was a huge underdog. And I think I had him to win, and I had him to win by finish. And then that fucking kick happened, and then, dude, that moment was cold.
I think it was so unexpected too by everyone because you're both wrestlers. Yeah, you guys have some finishes, but not, I don't think people were expecting that. And the whole arena was like,
Well, I just talked to one of our fighters about this week, and this is from Follis and Dewey. If you're a great wrestler, you need to develop a good kick game. Why? If in the MMA space, when you kick a motherfucker,
levels,
right? But when you kick somebody, they usually kick you back. So if you can develop a good kicking game to where it's not, it's not like just some fucking bullshit kick. That instinctually guys usually return a kick back to you, and then now they're stuck on one leg. So I talk to my wrestling guys all the time. Develop a good kick game. Develop a good kick game, because if you can get a guy to kick you back, then you can start running your series off of it. Especially if maybe he shuts your fitting game down. Maybe he sets your wrestling game down. Okay, well, got to go to something else.
And if you don't have great knockout power, a kick is the end all be all. Like some guys are just blessed with that. Gray Maynard, like he's got heavy hands, like great wrestler, but just got great hands too. Heavy hands, If you don't naturally have that, which I could say that I don't, I've got great hands. I can knock somebody. I knock people out with hands too. But the kick is just a different level because it's bigger. You know what I mean? And if you throw it the correct way, it's
what about the Russian that we knocked out at practice a couple times? That was being a little lippy.
It's a few Russians.
We called him in on a Saturday. Kevin hits me up. He's like, "Yo, human resources. This motherfucker always human resources open. 24/7, So
I've been on that.
We call him spars.
I still kind of got that. I've been trying to shave away from it a little bit. I've been trying to be a better person.
Can you tell everybody about the 45 minutes you and Keith Lee did in human resources?
Sure. Yeah, we can go over that. Yeah. So me and Keith, we brothers. So we always gonna have little spats here and there. And he's got his own way of doing things. I got my own way of doing things. But Keith is tough as fucking nails.
Tough as fuck.
So we arguing about something. I don't even remember what the argument was about, but it got, a pretty big heated argument where it was like, okay, since we not going to come to an agreement, we going to hash this shit out. So I hit you up, and this is when you hung human resources over the gate. And I'm like, hey, we going to put these gloves on and we going to make it do what it do.
No shin pads.
And no shin pads. Full MMA. And we did 45 minutes
straight
and beating the hell out of each other. Keith's good. Keith's got good hands. He's got good boxing. The parts where I'm kind of weak in, he's great in. And vice versa. So and I'm bigger than him too. But we had it in.
Practice over, shut it down, lock him in the cage. Right? We watched maybe the first 10, 15 minutes of it, make sure nobody died. And we literally just went about our business. And this was fucking, we'll look over, they're still going. And then these two are still fighting, you motherfucker, and fucking hitting each other and back and forth. And then finally I hear, man, we're good. All right. 45 minutes.
Nobody got knocked out or nothing. Eventually we just came to
it out.
Hey, bro, I respect you, you respect me. It's all love, We just have at that. I think that was the last time that we did that, and afterwards we were like, okay, we don't need to do that no more. Bro, I see what you made of. You see what I'm made of. Because sometimes words don't do it justice.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you really gotta see to the core of a motherfucker.
How proud are you, man, to see him where he's at now and his growth and his development? And
I mean,
being a dad too, and like everything about him.
Words
Still
don't
your
describe
little brother,
it.
right?
It is. So there's a bit of that, but he's a man, like, and he's his own man.
Sure.
You know, and that just, for everything that I've seen that he could do, to see it actually come to fruition in his own way, and he's helping people.
Sure.
I mean, he's helped over 120 restaurants, which is 120 families.
Right.
Like,
the ripple effect
is just massive.
That's awesome, man.
And not only that, like, he's had other people kind of come up and kind of emulate what he's done, because he's the first one to do it this way in that space, and he's always constantly giving back to people.
That's awesome.
And it's to the point where he's inspiring me now.
Good.
Which is, I couldn't be more proud, you know, like, now my little brother is inspiring me to do something, you know? I couldn't be more proud. He's giving my nieces a great life, and that's all I ever really asked of.
And he's in Dallas now?
Yeah, he's in Dallas.
Out in Dallas now.
Yeah, he bought a house in Dallas. He bought my mama a house.
Nice.
Which is like, bro, that I couldn't do that. I rented my mama a house here in Vegas.
Yeah, I remember that.
I rented her a house, but I didn't buy her one.
Right.
He actually stumped that down.
Your intentions were always there for what you can do.
Yeah.
My mom always said that. She's like, look, if I'm going to give my kids the best that I can give them.
Yeah.
Right. And at the moment, you give the best that you can give in that moment. And if the best is that, then the best that you're going to give.
Yeah. And I think that's always something that I kind of held, especially coming over here. And when I first, like we talked about, when I first came to Vegas at 21, I was at like a cross point, and in my mind, I'm like, I'm not leaving my family behind.
Sure.
Like, they were in Detroit, you know, Keith has gone over this, like, there was trouble on the streets and this and that. And I just knew if I could actually achieve what I wanted to, that they were going to become a target there.
Sure.
You know, like, you in the slums, people, and it almost, I actually heard Clarissa Shields talk about this, where the bigger that she got, like, her family kind of hate her a little bit. I don't know if I'm putting words in that, but that's what I've heard. But you got to understand, from their perspective, they almost kind of got to, in order to survive. Yeah. Because otherwise they become a target. So for me, I was like, I'm not leaving them there. Like, y'all moving here. Yeah. When we first got here, we stayed in a 2-bedroom condo over off of fucking Warm Springs.
Yeah, I do.
And we all just stayed together, and I was fighting, and eventually I got to the point where I could rent a bigger house, like a 3-story house.
Yeah, the one off of Legacy, out in Legacy.
Yes, yep, up in Centennial Hills.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, 4 bedrooms, so it's enough space for us to move around, and eventually we keep branching out. My parents can get their own place, and you know, but we stuck together. And I think the fruits of that is starting to show now. Like, now life is a lot better. You know, they're down in Dallas. I'll eventually move out to Dallas.
Nice.
I think maybe after this next fight, I'll join them there, and we'll make some things happen.
That's awesome.
But I think family is everything. Like, what are we doing in this life if it ain't for the relationships that we create with people?
Agreed.
I didn't want to just get to the top and, you know, look back and forget my people. Like, that's fucked up. Like, that's not, what does that mean? Like, who would I be if I did that?
Right.
And I just,
and how much of that perspective has changed now that you're a dad?
A lot, because now my son, I just realized my son is everything now. Like, he's bigger than my life.
Sure.
So anything that happened before, it's so weird. Like, I see, like, my life in almost 2 stages now. Like, it's split the moment that, and I mean, a lot of people say this, but it split the moment that I had a kid. Everything before that point didn't matter. Like, he don't even know about all these stories. Like, he's probably, I mean, he might hear them. This stuff lives in eternity.
Right.
So he might go back and watch these and listen to the stories, but it's so different now, because now I'm building his life.
Yeah.
Now it's not about me no more.
Right.
Like, it's really not.
It's a level of selflessness when you become, but isn't it funny how helpless you feel about being a parent? Like, you can't control, I can't fix, I can't this, I can't that, because it's just, but then it's the one time that I say that I really felt about a higher power, right? Whatever you believe in, but when I remember just the helplessness that I felt when McKenna was born, made me feel like, dude, there's just something bigger out there than us. That,
I feel that more and more the older that he gets, and we go to the park and he's playing with other kids.
Sure.
And, I try and stay as uninvolved as possible.
Right.
But I'm always watching.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, bro, he's going to have so much, he's going to have people try and bully him. He's going to have this and that and kids bumping into him, trying to take his toy. And I'm like, as bad as I want to go over and just
smack that kid.
Yeah, push that other kid to the ground. I'm like, I got to let him.
But a lot of ways we're like sheep herders,
person.
right?
Yeah.
Like the sheep is we're just got to kind of, right? But you're right. Those experiences are only going to make him the man that he's going to be.
Exactly.
But through our own experiences, hey, I fucked up here. I don't want you to have the same experiences I do because of the situations that I was in. Or I can give you these life experiences and you're going to travel your own path. But man, I'll tell you what, that I couldn't agree more. It was the moment that changed my life. Life looked different for me when I had that little girl. Right? Like just the fragility of life.
Yes.
And how important it is.
That's what it is. And you said something about like, you said selflessness. The split between how selfish you are pre-kid to how selfless you are like after the kid. And I don't think people talk about how like it just happens. Like there is no like gradual, like I need to become selfless. It's just boom. It's not about you anymore.
Instantaneous, right?
It is like people don't talk about, as I'm learning now, like that switch because it is like, bro, you're not just gonna go pick up and go play basketball. You're not just gonna go to the bar. You're not just gonna go watch the game. You're not just gonna go,
your
train.
actions now have an effect on somebody that doesn't have that choice.
Exactly.
So if you decide to get behind the wheel and drink and drive, the repercussions are for somebody that doesn't have a choice.
And that switch is so stark. People don't talk about that.
I just remember thinking that this decision that I make right now could ultimately affect my child. And dude, to build on that, how much more do you love your wife when you see the mother of your child?
It's a different respect.
It's a different
love.
different
respect.
It's a different love and respect, man. It really is. Because my wife's about to go back to work for the first time since her maternity leave, right? And she's like just so depressed and like she's excited to go back, but it's like you've been with this baby, you cultivated this baby for 9.5 months, and now you gotta leave. And now you've been with it every single day for the last 4.5 months, every moment, and now there's like this, and I'm like, I sympathize because it's just different for them, and you have just such this admiration and love and respect for that woman. It's crazy. I get chills talking about it.
It's different than any other woman. It's different than any other woman.
And I was telling someone the other day, like no matter, and me and my wife have a great relationship, but no matter what happens ever, God forbid, that woman is like just in a different category than anyone else that will ever be in my life
100%.
Because of that. You know what I mean? It's like
I wouldn't have my son without her.
Right.
Like
I literally
wouldn't have him.
You know what I mean? She had to like cultivate
but doesn't
that
it give
whole
you
thing.
something more to fight for with your relationship?
For sure.
And I'm not telling people to stick in relationships that are
That's
just
what I mean.
shitty or this or that. But my situation is different than most. I'm with my high school sweetheart. So I've fallen in love with my wife in many different phases of life. The high school version, the college version, my fiance, my wife, and now the mother of my children. These are all different women, but the same woman, but all different facets of life. And just the top one. Oh, I love seeing my wife when she's pregnant. It's just a beautiful, like just something different, bro.
My wife has definitely made me into a better man, and we even talked about it. She's the reason I moved to Miami.
Right.
I remember sitting on the mats and being like, you was like, what are you doing this weekend? I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go down to Miami. I got a little girl down there or whatever. And like, and I told you, I'm like, I'm really starting to like this girl. And you were like, oh, that's gay. And I was like, yeah.
That sounds like some shit I would have said. God damn it.
But if you're gonna do some gay stuff, at least do it with a pretty woman. You know what I mean? Like if it's gonna be gay, at least do it with a woman.
Do it in Miami and do it with a pretty girl.
And she is literally like changed my whole life.
I love it.
And it's given me a lot of respect for her, for myself, for everything. You know, she's not a bullshitter. You know what I mean? And she's Puerto Rican, so she's a little bit mean too at the same time.
My wife's
like, stab your fucking ass and steal your wallet,
she's
baby.
fucking mean. Like,
I love that.
She don't she didn't buy all the bullshit that I was spinning that worked with other girls and stuff. Like, you know, you could do a little X, Y, and Z and they fall in love with it. But she was like, man, get the fuck out of here with that. Like, yeah, it don't impress me at all.
I love it.
But like the actual who you are as a person, I feel like she can kind of see through me. So yeah, I'll always have nothing but love and respect, regardless if we fall out, if we don't. She's gonna be my wife till I die.
And you guys are building it out there now, bro. You got the food truck. Can we talk about that?
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Let's talk about it. Yeah.
Like I didn't know you can fucking cook.
I know.
You asshole. You just holding this out on me this whole time,
bro. I've always loved cooking.
Yeah,
I really have.
Yeah, you and your brother both.
Yeah. From the time I was like 18, 19, like we're from Detroit. Like we take pride in that.
Yeah.
It's not something that we share with a lot of people.
Sure.
You know, it's like a family
now you're selling
thing.
it with the world.
Now we share it with the world. He's gotta kind of given me that motivation to do it, because as much as I loved cooking, I just never really saw it as a path.
Right.
But when I see him affecting so many different restaurants here and there, I'm like, oh, maybe I could do something. And at the same time, I want to build something that's long lasting.
Right.
Like as much as this sport and I love it.
Right.
It's only as good as your body is holding up and you're able to
now you got something
to
pivot off to.
Correct.
Yep.
And something to leave my son.
Sure.
I mean, people have restaurants for
generations,
decades. And it's just I genuinely love it. Like I love doing it. Like it's kind of the yin and yang. Fighting kind of keeps me up, and cooking it just calms me.
But you know what it is?
Cool.
You're an artist.
I was gonna say two art forms, my man.
I can respect that.
You're an artist, right? And anybody that knows good cooks, I have a lot of good cooks in the family. They're artists in their own ways, you know. And this is just something else you get to perform.
Yep. Right? Yeah, and I really pay attention to the details behind the thing. You know, like I think some people, they just kind of, all right, just fry the chicken,
right?
You know, straight out of the freezer or something. Right. But no, it's when you really have respect for the animal, you really have respect for what you're doing into your food. A lot of that came from MMA because I'm constantly having to watch my weight. Yeah. So I would cook a lot for myself just so I know what it is that I'm eating.
Yeah.
And since I've been doing this, like, people love it. People love the food. They love the way it's going. I've almost purposely done it like a slow build.
Sure.
Like I was speaking earlier, like I don't want to just shoot off, you know? Sure. Do I have the resources to do that? Maybe, possibly. You know, I can always give a couple calls and have somebody buy me a restaurant and we just do it that way. But I really want to build this thing from the ground up
the right way,
so that it's long lasting. And I respect every level of it.
Yeah, I like the content you're putting out. Like you just got a brand new or an old truck.
Old truck.
Just reinvented or
I tore it down to the fucking bare, like the scrap metal, bro. Which I've never dealt with mechanic work and all of that stuff before. And it's just giving me a different skill set that I kind of now have.
Yeah, but it's nice that like when you know your blood, sweat, and tears are into something you build.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
So where's the food truck at? Do you guys go to the same spot? What do you
what are you cooking?
So I'm cooking right now my biggest thing is oxtails. Oxtails are selling like crazy.
Okay.
Barbecue ribs too.
Oh, hell yeah.
I got a chicken dish. I got a lamb dish. I just added lamb chops onto the menu too. Right now it's still kind of private, so I'm doing for people who came and saw me at the farmers market before. I cook for maybe about 30 people or so right now. I actually just did an event at the gym. I cooked for all the guys at the gym.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah, they were eating in the room. I saw that.
Yeah. So we had about 50 or 60 of us. So
nice.
I went and cooked a bunch of steak and eggs for everybody.
Awesome.
Just to give something back to, I'm there every day.
You doing this solo, or you have people helping you, like cooking for 50, 60 people?
Solo.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's a lot of food, bro.
It's a lot. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, but
eggs,
I train in the morning.
MMA fighters fucking eat probably.
Bro, you telling me. It took maybe 6 hours to do that cook.
Oh, wow.
So I woke up at 5 a.m. and I was done about 11. And then I took it up to the gym, had it ready for the guys at 12. But yeah, I'm just doing it solo until I find that person that can take over for me as I get ready to ramp up fight camp.
Yeah.
But again, the reason that I wanted to do it this way is so that I got respect for all the levels of it. just washing the dishes alone.
Yeah.
When you're doing that much, there's a lot of fucking dishes.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, bro, it's a lot of
I'm
fucking
sure,
dishes.
man.
And if things aren't clean, then you can't cook correctly. So when I do get to the point of, and I had to hire a dishwasher before, I respect the dude. I'm like, okay, bro, I see. Just take your time with it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to pay you good. Like, I'm not just going to give you fucking scraps. Like, you're actually, you're making this whole operation run, you know? Like, you're actually valuable to it.
That is the mindset that people forget about.
Yeah.
And I've been in the restaurant industry for 20 years. That it's a ecosystem.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
We have to feed off each other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if the bar back isn't busting the table, the table's not getting turned over, the waitresses, you know what I mean? So I remember the waitresses who wouldn't clean their own tables up. They wouldn't pre-bus.
Yeah.
So that makes the job for the busser
10 times harder.
10 times harder.
Yeah. Because they don't give a fuck.
But the reality of it is if you get this bust and you help him, it's only going to help you in your pocket.
Yeah.
Right? Like the selflessness you need to actually be in that service industry when you start to understand how it works.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yep. And you got to understand every level of it and how it works.
But what I love is you're getting reps.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah. I'm putting reps in the gym.
I'm getting reps in the gym. I'm getting reps right now.
Exactly.
So
I like the way
when
you
my
put
time
that.
comes, when I want to open my restaurant, I got fucking reps.
Yes.
You know, and I'm ready to go.
Correct. I mean, this is something I learned from MMA. Like you got to do a lot of gym work before you're ready to step out and step on TV. And people are only going to see you for that 15 minutes. People are only going to see the dish in front of them. They're not going to see that you've been up since fucking 4:30 in the morning to make this shit.
Changing of ingredients, the trials.
You got to run through this supplier and then this supplier, and I got to deal with this person and that, and I got to permit here and do all these other things. People don't care about that. They're only going to see the final order,
the final dish.
So you got to put in the work.
We just talked about this on the last episode. It took 10 years to become an overnight success.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And that's a fact.
Yeah.
That's a fact. And it's a reality. And, you know, just to speak on how Keith did it, I saw like the legwork that he put into it. Like people think he just blew up overnight out of nowhere, but those millions that he's getting now, like he had to put in so much fucking work in order to do it. And he's got a different skill set and mindset than I think a lot of people have. You know, even when he was extreme, he would come in and set up his camera and set up his tripod. And
funny as fuck,
dude. I remember seeing that too.
Bro, I don't have that. I don't got that. I've tried. I cannot fucking record myself.
It's hard
to save
my
life.
You have your own
bro.
type of charisma. Keith be on there. It's like super dry, like cracking sarcastic ass jokes. You know what I mean? But that was Keith. It was just different.
And he's able to show the real him. Through it. You know what I mean? 100%. I think that's what kind of people relate to. With me, when I film myself, for some reason, I can't let the real me shine through. I can if somebody else is doing it for some reason, but just anytime I try and do it, I've tried for years, but it's just not, it's something about it. Like it's fucking
There's
hard
a skill to talk to the camera and break through that wall, whatever that is.
Right.
That
if
makes
anybody knows, you know.
Yeah. Well, I'm usually behind it. This is kind of new for me. But I mean, it's a skill to try to do that. One more thing about your brother I wanted to ask. Are we going to get the biggest fight of the year, Chad OchoCinco and Keith Lee?
Is that really going down?
I just heard a clip of that.
They're going back and forth?
On Shannon
He's
Sharp.
Gonna starch that motherfucker.
I think he did Nightcap, right? Or something like that.
Yeah. Where he kind of came out and
Ocho,
and said
you do not want that.
That's what I said. No,
but
I want Ocho to keep thinking that he does, because I would love. Because I'll tell you what, people kind of like test Keith, I feel like, in the comments and stuff, like not knowing who he is, and it's funny. I'll see comments of people being like, "No, this dude like used to really fight," and because Keith is such a great he's such a great guy. He's doing so much for the community. People mistake like the softness or the kindness for weakness. So I mean, I would love to see Keith put hands on somebody.
He's still training here and there. You know, I think he's more into basketball and stuff like that. He don't really spar or nothing no more.
Save it.
But
which is good.
Save it.
And I told him, even with this Chad, I mean, as much as I would love to see him go out there and do it, I don't necessarily think that he should.
Yeah.
I mean, I might
He doesn't
do it.
have to.
I might
Yeah,
do it.
no, you don't
In
have
that
to.
video, he did say nobody named Lee can touch him, and I'm sitting back like, what the fuck are you talking about, bro? What
Fucking
world
Ocho.
are you living in?
Bro,
He
run
is
the
a-
tape.
You know, I
class
get
shit
that you.
talker.
Yeah.
I get that you trying to clout chase and all of
Yeah.
that, but bro, don't
That's
write
awesome.
a check your ass can't cash.
Oh, that's
Because
awesome.
I will fuck him up.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
But again, as much as I would love to see it, I think for him, there's a lot more that he can accomplish and a
Right.
lot bigger things. When you do a fight, like you got to put your all into that.
Yeah.
And even if it's
Yeah.
an exhibition against somebody, I would make sure that that's all that he did,
Right.
you know? And I just think he can affect too many people and he can continue to help too many people
Yeah.
to where it's like, I don't
Yeah.
it's almost like a pissing contest.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just a
Right.
show and just to prove. And Chad says something stupid like, oh, just because you're a professional MMA fighter don't mean you was good. Like, bro, are you fucking crazy?
Bro, fought
like,
Rafion. Like he's fought
he's
some
fought-
tough
yeah, I
fucking
mean, come
dudes,
on.
bro.
and a lot and all of his losses are all like really close decisions.
Tough.
Yeah.
That should have went the other way.
The one guy in South Carolina, he's in the
Yeah.
UFC now,
Yeah.
right? And that was a close split decision. That
Yeah.
I thought Keith
I thought he
won.
won it. I thought he won it.
Yeah.
The
You
one
know-
in the one in Brave was
In
a straight
Brave, he for sure would've
robbery.
won.
Yeah.
Straight robbery.
His record don't nearly affect
Sure.
or reflect his
Skill set.
skill
He
set.
cut a lot
His
of
skill
weight.
set.
Yeah.
That kid was cutting a lot
Yeah.
of weight.
Yeah,
he
he's
fought a
big
Follis
Follis
now.
love making
He's almost
motherfuckers
my
cut
size,
a lot
bro.
of weight, bro.
He fought 25.
Fought at 25 for a minute,
Fought
but
at
it was
25
killing him,
and then
dude.
then he had to go up to 35.
35.
And now if he did fight, he'd probably fight at 170. He's fucking huge, bro. He's fucking huge. He's bigger than me now.
Yeah,
He's big,
food
bro.
reviews.
He been eating good.
Yeah.
He been eating real good, you
That's
know?
hilarious.
But
I
I might do it. I mean, since I got this food truck, one of the things we are talking about is maybe doing a couple exhibition fights, and setting up events and stuff. Fuck, I'll do that.
How'd this whole thing pop off?
Chad Johnson just be talking shit, bro.
Oh, yeah.
on
That's what he does.
on
That's awesome.
Nightcap.
I
That's
think
He said he'll beat Max Holloway.
Yeah.
After Max Holloway knocked out
Gaethje.
yeah,
He
Chad's
just
out
be
his
talking,
fucking mind.
bro.
He's out his mind.
Yeah.
Some of these football players, bro. What's up with the ego? I mean, the
That's-
ego
It's
is
because
crazy.
they're athletes.
And,
Yeah.
and
And
for
they just
some
think-
reason, in
But hey,
fighting,
bro, I ain't trying to show up to the Raiders facility and
Right.
tackle motherfucking
Yeah.
Max Crosby.
Yeah.
do you think
know what
that
I
you
mean?
wouldn't
Like,
stand a chance?
No, I don't even want to
Fucking
fucking
crazy,
no,
bro.
I'm
For
good.
some reason,
That
in
shit's long
fighting,
gone.
people think like anybody can fight.
We were just talking about this.
delusional
And
fucking
for some
people.
reason, people they got an idea of, they almost put themselves in the fighter's shoes and be like, oh, I would have
100%.
did this, and this,
Yep.
there, right there.
100%.
Like, bro, you don't know what the fuck you're talking
Somebody
about.
recently asked me because of the last podcast with with Jay and Mike, talking about like, well, don't you feel bad when you guys greenlight these fucking people to come in? I go, I do not feel bad one bit. And let me explain to you why. I get to watch people like him train every fucking day for 10 years straight to be at the top of their career. This guy thinks that he's gonna oh yeah, let me head into that gym and just go
You mean the
whoop
trolls?
on some people,
The trolls.
right?
Yeah.
And go and whoop on some people
Yeah.
because I can show them and I can do and I can whatever.
Yeah.
You need to understand that it's more disrespectful to me to see that you think that you can beat this guy
Yep.
in
Yeah.
any level of fighting
Yeah.
off the fucking bar stool
Yeah.
and come into our gym and do what we do on a day-to-day basis.
They're out of their minds.
So come on in, sign the fucking waiver, hop in human resources and take your ass whooping.
Chad
That's
Johnson.
why I send you in there.
Human
Chad
resources.
OchoCinco,
right?
that was to you.
Yeah.
Come into Extreme
Come
Couture.
on in. Yeah, come on in XC. We can do that shit.
We can do it
We got
right
HR,
now.
baby.
We can do
Always
it right
open.
now.
Hey,
And I live
hey,
in Miami. I know he live in Miami, so hey, we can do it. At
What's
any
my
time,
response to you every
any
time you
place.
ask if human resources is
Anytime.
open?
Anytime, any place.
24/7.
Just-
24/7, baby.
We'll write it on the clock. We'll let people know. We'll write it on the clock, and we can get it in.
45-minute session like you
Yeah.
and your brother did.
How
45 minutes. 45 minutes if you got it.
Yeah.
He wouldn't last 2 minutes. Let's be
Oh,
honest.
bro.
Let's be honest. He wouldn't last 2 minutes. I
How-
mean, if it's straight boxing, I'll give him 6 minutes in straight boxing.
Yeah.
If it's MMA, 30
That's a
seconds.
90 seconds. Yeah, 90
30
seconds.
seconds.
Yeah.
It's
90
a
seconds.
fucking wrap.
Beat the fuck out of him.
Yeah.
How happy you seeing Dewey, his rise to success? Like,
Bro,
I mean,
It's
I
crazy.
mean, he's always been up there. You know what I mean? But it's just like, bro, like especially with Tyson Fury and everything that's going on.
I mean, Dewey's legacy had been cemented, I feel like, long before I even got here, you know?
I agree.
So just to see him rise again, it's like, bro, life has these fucking waves that you go through. And to see him back on the top of the wave again, like it couldn't happen to a better guy. Like anybody
100%.
that I talk to, I tell them, Dewey is the most genuine dude I've ever met in my life.
Yep.
He's the most genuine, like selfless. When you talk about selfless, like he is a coach through and through.
Yeah.
Even though he's fought, and I mean, he was a very, very high level fighter. I think he found his niche in coaching.
Yeah.
He'll do anything.
He's
for
incredible
for his team, for his fighters.
Yeah, he's incredible.
He's such a great guy. How was it for
I
you?
owe him my life.
Yeah, he's awesome. How was it for you though, watching him and Dewey with Francis? You've trained with Francis, obviously been on the mats with him at XC. Eric and Dewey been in your corner a number of times. Like, I don't know, what was that experience like for you? Because obviously, you know, no one really gave Francis a chance, and rightfully so. But like seeing that moment happen, what did you think?
It just is. It just clarifies everything that you already knew.
Yeah.
Like I already know how good fucking Francis is.
Yeah.
With the first time I ever sparred with him, I'm like, okay, this dude's seeing things that other guys aren't seeing.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he's big, he's strong, he's powerful, he's all of that, right? But I've sparred many guys that are like that too.
Yeah.
But he has a different, like he can just find your chin. And it's so weird. He's the only person that hit me as clean as he's ever hit me. And it wasn't like he really put a lot of muscle into it or anything. It was just such a clean shot. Like I've sparred heavyweight boxers too, plenty of them. And you know, a lot of the shots will kind of graze off your head or graze off your arms. I'm like, this dude he's got something in his fucking hands. I don't know what it is. And it's not just that his hands are heavy. Yeah. It's like he's got a mental mind connection with his hand, like where he sees your chin and it's like his hand just honing missile and finds it. So when he dropped Tyson, especially, like,
losing my shit.
I'm happy for the whole team.
Yeah.
Like, bro, like these guys deserve this. If anybody else deserves it, it's them. And I mean, I think I caught a lot of flack for taking up for Francis before that fight happened. And it was especially around the time that they were trying to take his heavyweight title from him. And I'm like, this is fucked up. Like it is. And I think the UFC kind of reflected negatively on me. Mm-hmm. If you remember, like the UFC cut me.
Yeah.
Right after the
Marquel, and they kind of took it out on you.
Yeah. I think that they thought
you felt
that
like it. You felt.
I think that they felt like I had something to do with that. You know.
Yeah.
I think that they think I was in Francis's ear, telling him like, "Oh, fuck the UFC," or I was in Markel's ear or something like that. It was never that. Like, you know, I'm fucking hands off, especially with another guy's career.
Yeah.
Like I would never go to Francis and say like, oh, you should do this or do that. Who the fuck am I? I would never go to Marquel and be like, hey, you should do this and that. Like, who the fuck am I? I don't know nothing. I mean, I got my opinions about things. And I like to stand up for what's right. And when you got a guy who's clearly the heavyweight champion of the world and has bent over backwards time after time, it's like I look back and I'm like, you guys are gonna strip his title? Like, like you guys aren't going to promote him in the correct way. Like, what are we doing here? So I kind of spoke up about that, and I think that negatively reflected on me. And when I lost that fight against D-Rod, fucking 12 months after double knee surgery, terrible fight. Should have never took the fight in the first place. But I think they took that opportunity to be like, okay, let's prove a message to this team, because at the time Marquel had me, Francis and Khalil. And we were only the three. And me losing that fight, they were like, okay, let's send a message. We're not fucking around, and you know, we'll show you by cutting a guy that we put a lot of money into. And into promoting. But again, my only thing was to stand up for Francis, you know, like it wasn't.
I mean, you're just speaking for what you see. If there's injustices in something, it had nothing to do with the fact that it was Markel's guy, or anything like that. I mean, yes, we're all teammates,
sure,
but at the end of the day, you felt, I mean, like, dude, slapping an interim title on the Lewis and Gone fight was like,
Right.
oh, wait, what?
It was like a slap in the face
Yeah, a lot
that
of
I
us,
saw, you know?
everyone, oh,
Bro,
everyone.
like, what was that? 2.5 months after he won the belt?
Yeah,
3 months after
it
he won the
wasn't
belt?
too far. It was August, right? We won in March.
And they fought in like July or some shit.
They fought in August or July.
August,
yeah,
yeah.
I think
Yeah,
you're right.
yeah, it was
something
very,
that.
very close.
Very quick.
Yeah.
But I mean, there wasn't anybody happier than Kev when we beat Stipe. I remember him fucking calling right away, like just hysterical because we went out there and beat Stipe.
Yeah,
right.
And
Like
the way
I mean,
that
like
you beat him.
you know, just the way that we beat him. But like you know, you've always been that resource of love and affection for all of us, myself and Dewey and Francis and the whole team.
Mhm.
You know, so yeah, I mean, it was one of those situations for all of us. I think when the way that it went with Francis, it's unfortunate, but everybody's doing their thing now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Hey, see you later.
Yeah,
It's all good.
And I kind of watched the Saudi fight and everything on the outskirts of it, but I still felt the same way. Like I still feel the same way.
That walkout
I'm
will
so
forever
fucking
be
happy,
undefeated.
bro.
Which one?
With
Forever.
you, Dewey, Tyson,
Mike Tyson.
Francis in the
Yeah.
chair,
Yeah.
And
Dewey,
Mike
Dewey
Tyson's
like this,
there.
always
Yeah.
like this,
Yeah.
filming like on, like he
Legendary.
can't stop filming.
Yeah,
like,
Dewey's
Legendary.
Legendary.
Dewey with his fucking phone just like this.
I
The
go, Dewey,
camera's
you gotta
like-
go back and watch all the fucking
Yeah.
tape
And
on
he
it.
is.
And he will.
And
He's
he
like,
is.
oh,
He told me
you know,
one
he's
time,
gonna
Be
he goes,
showing somebody
he
in
said,
a bar.
Yeah, he
50
goes,
years from now.
I do this so that when they do the documentary on me, they have footage. I said, Dewey, no one's taking your Samsung fucking videos and making a documentary.
Oh,
of this.
dude.
Nah, Dewey's a
He
50-year-old
is one
man
of a
for
fucking
sure.
kind,
One of
bro.
a kind,
One
and
of a
don't give a
kind.
damn.
Yeah.
Don't give a damn.
You gonna see him this week?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know he's
Yeah.
moving to the Philippines, right?
Yeah, I'm
trying
Yes.
to-
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
he's moving to the Philippines.
Yeah.
bro.
I don't know when though.
Yeah,
Soon,
He's
but I don't
gonna
know
go
when.
back and forth.
He just sold
said.
his house.
Yeah, he sold the house.
Wow. I didn't know this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I got to
So-
see him tomorrow.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
probably
been
go
his
see him in the
thing,
morning.
he's been kind of planning this thing for a while. So
He's
it's
got a
now-
promotion over there too, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
he's gonna have a promotion.
Yeah.
But, so yeah, he's gonna be bouncing
Yeah,
around.
last time I seen him is he came to Miami and did TLC.
Oh,
or
yeah, yeah.
TCO, sorry,
TCO.
TCO.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did the promotion over there, and I think that was the last time I seen him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll definitely. Anytime I'm in town, I definitely got to kick it with Dewey.
Yeah.
Dewey is
He's the best.
Yeah, I can't say it enough. Yeah.
So what's next for you? Obviously GFL. What is there a timeline on when you fight? What's training camp gonna look like? Like
April's gonna be the date.
Okay.
I'm gonna finish the training camp in Killcliff.
Okay.
I'll go back and my thing is just trying to reach my ultimate potential.
Yeah.
Like I don't feel like I've done that yet. I haven't had that full mind body connection.
and you're only what 33?
I'm 32.
Dude,
Yeah,
that's
I'm 32.
crazy, man.
Yeah.
You've been fighting for like 13 years already. 12
Yeah,
years?
and I think a lot of that, because I've been fighting so long, like people think I'm older than what I am.
Right.
And they're like, oh, well, you already been there and done that. But bro, I'm still like in the peak of my physical ability. And
Yeah.
since I've had the knee surgery since 2020, like my career's really been on a pause. Like
Yeah.
I've had a few fights that were stupid fights to take, they just were. But now where I'm sitting now, like no injuries, my knees are totally healed. I feel in the best shape that I've ever felt in, and I think I'm gonna really prove that in April. Like I'm gonna work my fucking ass off to make it happen. I mean, people already know that I'm gonna do that, but now I'm gonna do it in the intelligent way.
Yeah.
Like I want to show like real fight IQ in this next stage of my career, like real fight intelligence. And I don't care who I'm fighting against. Right now they're talking about Tony Ferguson and signing him, and I would love that fight back.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a massive fight.
Yeah.
Even at the time of the promotion, like that was the first big pay-per-view since the Mayweather and McGregor thing happened.
Mhm.
That fight was in August. Ours was in October.
And that was right after the Vegas shooting.
Yeah, right.
October 1.
A week after the
Yeah.
Vegas shooting. And there's just so much that goes into that fight that I think now is the perfect time for us to do it. And it almost be like a loser leave town type of fight. Like, let's be honest. Like Tony's taking some bad losses.
Yeah.
I've had some ups and downs in my career, and it'd be like a loser leave town type of fight. And I think it'd be a big fight all around the board.
Yeah. And is there a location for that in April?
Not yet. I think that's all going to be announced on the 24th.
Got it.
So when they're
When the
doing
draft
this,
is.
when they're doing this draft, they're gonna announce everything. They're gonna announce the teams, who's on what, and locations that they're doing it at.
Amazing. I'm glad you're healthy now, man. I know you've had a lot of setbacks with injuries and fought injured and
Yeah.
a lot of stuff with your knees.
Yeah, if I could speak on that last fight.
Of course.
And kind of make outs to Marquel too. I feel I made a lot of relationships in this sport, right? I've been doing this sport since I was for the last 13 years. And I feel like that was the one relationship that I fucked up. Like I did him wrong.
With Marquel?
With Marquel. Yeah. I reached out already. I apologize, but I don't feel like I really have done it justice. Like words don't mean a lot to me, you know? Like I don't feel like I've really made up for that. Before my last UFC fight, so just to give you a full what's going on. I have the fight with Diego Sanchez in Eagle FC. And in the back of that fight, I'm warming up with Dewey and I throw a kick too hard and twist my knee a little bit. And the very first kick that he threw in the fight tore my ACL completely, right?
Fuck.
Wow.
I finished the fight.
Sure.
A lot of people look at that fight and they say, "Oh, we went to war," but I dropped the motherfucker twice.
Diego Sanchez,
and damn near finished him with 2 different submissions.
Sure.
And it's fucking Diego Sanchez.
fucking Diego Sanchez.
He's a dog, bro.
Bro.
He's tough than a motherfucker.
Yeah.
He's flexible too.
Yeah.
I had his leg pinned over his
remember
head
that.
in a splato where I'm like, how isn't he tapping?
Cardio for days.
And his
Fucking-
hamstring ripping.
Yep.
I could hear his hamstring going.
God.
I was like, holy shit, all right, let me let him go. But after that fight, my knees torn to shreds and I decided not to get I'm like, I just don't want to do this surgery thing.
Yeah.
But Eagle was having troubles, their own troubles. They were up and down. It seemed like they were going out of business or they weren't going to do another show. So I'm sitting here and I'm looking and I go back to the UFC because I'm looking at it. I'm like, I got to have surgery on his knee.
Right.
Like I got a new son, you know, I'm carrying him down the stairs. And at the time my knee was doing this,
Oh, geez.
you know, so my thigh was slipping out from my shin bone.
Right.
And most of the time I can kind of handle it, but I was walking down the stairs and it went, and I almost fell while carrying him. And luckily, you know, I kind of fell on my ass and still had him in my hands. He was fine. But I remember sitting on the couch and I'm like, all right, I got to make something happen. Like I got to do something. I can't go through my life like this.
Yeah.
Like what if I hurt this kid?
Right.
Like what if I would have fell forward and crushed him?
God
Like
forbid,
literally,
right?
bro. Like, so I'm sitting there and the only word I'm getting from the UFC is that they're not fucking with Marquel. They're not fucking with me.
Right.
Because of this whole Francis situation.
Sure.
And probably one of the biggest regrets of my career is that I turned my back on him.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to Ali at the same time, and Ali's like, hey, I can get you to talk to Dana. Right. I can get him to re-sign you. I can get him to do it right now. But you got to leave Marquel. You can't mess with him no more.
Right.
And I'm sitting there, I'm looking at the baby, and I thought on it for like 2 or 3 days, and eventually it's like, fuck, bro, I got to do it. Like, I got to have his surgery.
Right.
No other promotion is going to pay for it.
Right.
Eagle didn't pay for it.
Yeah.
And who else I'm going to go to? I'm going to go to Bellator maybe.
Right.
And maybe they might pay for it. Maybe they're not. At least I got experience with the UFC.
Sure.
I know that they'll do it. So I'm going to take this fight. So what? The knees torn to shreds, whatever. I'll do it. I call Marquel. I tell him that. I fly here to Vegas. You know, I meet with Dana and Hunter, and I sit down with them, and I don't say 2 words, bro.
Yeah.
And you can ask Ali this. Like, I don't say 2 words the whole time while I'm in the office. And Dana just tearing them to shreds, bro. Like,
Tearing Marquel?
I'm not even going to say too much of what he's saying, but just tearing them to shreds, and where I'm like sitting back and I'm just going, okay, all right, I get it. And they're like, and Hunter looks at me and he said the dumbest thing. He's like, okay, we can have you back, but you know what you got to do? He's like, what if I ask you to fight Khamzat? And I'm like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
like,
fight whoever.
Fuck who? Like, you think I'm scared?
Yeah.
Like, that was the feeling I got.
Right,
I'm like,
right.
I didn't
Check my
say 2
resume.
words except for that. I'm like, you think I'm scared of Khamzat? Like, bring him on right now. And then they're like, okay, all right, shake hands. That's what it is. They have me fight this other unknown, undefeated fucking Russian bastard. And stupidly enough, I go through the whole training camp. I feel strong during the training camp. I feel good. But then for some reason, I jump up into the octagon like I do every fucking fight to get ready for it and twist that knee again. And the thing went. And the results of the fight was what it was. But my biggest regret is not taking is not the fight, right?
Sure.
It was my first time being choked unconscious.
Yeah.
Which is a little scary, but who gives a fuck? I don't give a fuck about that. At least I got my knee better. My biggest regret is not standing by Marquel in the times when he needed me the most. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
I should have just stood by it.
I get, bro. Like, listen, I understand exactly where you're coming from, and man to man, when you put the scenario of your son in your hands, we're gonna make the decision that we have to. And Marquel, being a dad now, would sit in this same chair and say, "I understand why you had to make that decision."
Yeah.
Right now, nothing comes before our family, but what I've noticed about you since then. You've gone back and tried to make amends with all of us, for that matter.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yo, you wrote me, however long ago. Yo, E, I love you, bro. Like, I'm just thinking about you. I'm thinking about your family.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it came out of nowhere. And like, I appreciate that. We're human beings, man.
Yeah.
And not to mention, we're human beings, but we make mistakes too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how we can rectify those mistakes and how we can let things go.
Yeah.
Are just as equal.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you as a man, yo, I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. And then if it's up to that next person to say, I can forgive this and we can move the fuck on.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, knowing Marquel the way that I know Marquel, he feels the exact same way.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, he loves you just as much. And I'm sure that if you put him in a position that where he had to choose over his daughter to be successful, to do these things the way you explain it to everybody, we're all going to choose what we have to do to be the parent and the dad for the scenario that we have.
Yeah.
There's a quote that I love is that no one will ever understand the decisions that I made with the options that I have.
That's an idiom, huh?
Well,
yeah.
There's positions that I've been in my life as a coach, as a GM, as where I've had to make the decisions, and it wasn't what people wanted me to do, or I got flack for it, right? But no one understands the options that I had to make, the decisions I had to make with those options. I go back to Robert a lot of times.
Yeah.
You and I know, and it's not for anybody to know, but it's for you. You and I know what the decisions I had to make with the options that I had.
Yeah.
Right.
And sometimes they're the tough ones, but
they're the ones that haunt us the most.
Yeah.
There's relationships of people that I thought were my dear friends and close friends that I've never been able to have closure with and never understood why those relationships went awry.
Yeah.
I didn't know, fuck. But you never know the options that I had to make or that I had the choices I had to make at that moment. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. I mean, it's a tough situation to be in.
Well, Markel's back in Vegas.
Yeah.
Markel's back in Vegas?
Yeah.
Oh, I might see him. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe
I'm
I
sure
might
if
see
he
him
was
while
here, he
I'm
would,
out here.
Respect that.
He would give you a hug, bro.
And respect the decision you had to make. And shout out to you for saying that publicly. A lot of people, especially in this game, and you guys both know how crazy and dirty this fight game can be.
Yeah.
Will never say that publicly.
Yeah, it's hard to apologize. And like I said, I apologize to him privately, but and I still feel like this may be not even enough. Like I do still think that I could do more to kind of mend it because it was a fucked up situation. It just was. I mean, but like you said, it is what it is, and
time heals all,
family,
man.
You gotta
family first.
You learn through it, but just to go back to the things that you got to do for your kids, like. Sometimes we make mistakes, even as parents. Like as good as I want this to turn out, like, bro, sometimes I'm gonna make a mistake, and I gotta teach you, okay, sometimes I make a mistake even in trying to do what's best for you. I give up my body so that I can be better for you, but sometimes in order to do that, I did the wrong thing in doing that, and I think that's one of those times.
Feels like a perfect place to end it. That was awesome.
Yeah. Amazing, bro.
I love it.
Anything else?
Yeah.
You know, you want to add or anything?
Nah, dude, I'm just stoked to have you out here, man. Like when you wrote me last week and said, "Hey, I want to come out," and I was like,
That's the
what?
best way to do it, bro.
What? No way.
Yeah.
Like, hell yeah.
I mean, I would see you at like a fight or, you know,
Yeah.
at the hotel or something like
Yeah.
that. But when do we get the time to like sit down for a fucking
dude,
hour?
You know, and, bro,
I love you guys doing
I love
this.
you too, man. And
you know?
like I've had nothing but love for you. I've always been pulling for you. You know, when you said I'm moving to Killcliff, I was like so happy for you.
Yeah.
Because I knew you were going to a good place. And it was never like, oh, you know, not ripping the Band-Aid
this
off
and
and
that,
I'm leaving, I'm mad. It was, no, dude, like, go, please.
Yeah.
I want to see you succeed wherever you go.
And
Nothing
that's
but love
just
for you,
just
man.
last point on that, right?
Yeah.
Because you even said it early. I was gonna be good as long as Vegas didn't swallow me up.
Sure.
And early in my life, it didn't.
Right.
But towards the end, after I had that first knee surgery, and the pandemic and all this stuff was going on, Vegas actually got to me. It started to get to me.
Yeah.
So the only reason I had to leave is not only did I fall in love with my wife and wanted to make that happen, Vegas just it got to me, you know?
Yeah.
So if you're a young fighter out there and bro, keep your head on straight. Like no matter as much money and fame and all this stuff that come to you, there's more that can be had, and don't lose yourself. I feel if I didn't leave Vegas in the time that I was, like I would have lost myself.
Sure.
For sure. Or I'd be dead or in jail right now.
Good on you for identifying that.
Yep.
Really, really, bro. Like, good on you for identifying that. And
It was brought to the
Sure.
forefront, bro.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, look at you now and look at the
Mhm.
position that you're in
Yep.
now, right?
Yep.
Like you're a dad, you're a family man
Yep.
now, you have a business now, you're
3
still
years
fighting.
sober. 3 years
Oh,
sober.
wow. I love
Yeah.
it, bro.
It's
I
awesome.
love it.
I took my shahada 3 years ago. You know,
Yeah.
shout out to that. You know, I
Yeah.
know Dewey is a
Yeah.
is a
Yep.
recent convert too.
Yep.
Yep.
It's one of the best things in
Amazing,
the
bro.
world, bro. But
Yeah.
yeah, 3 years sober. I think that's the
Huge.
the
Hell
biggest
yeah.
thing for me.
Yeah.
That's
Congratulations,
awesome,
brother. I couldn't be
Yeah.
happier for you, man.
Thanks.
Seriously.
That's
Seriously.
cool.
It's going to be, you get your ass back on the mats tomorrow, too.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. You said 3:30, right? I'm showing
No,
up.
10
I'm
a.m.,
there, baby.
motherfucker. Dutch
10
drills at 10,
I'm
3:30
fucking
pro,
there.
whatever.
I'm fucking there. I think I'm due the schmo at 11, he said.
Okay.
So
We're at-
maybe, I don't know yet. Maybe
okay.
we
Tell
come
them to do it at the gym.
Yeah.
Just do it at the
office.
gym, huh?
Yeah, no problem.
Oh, maybe we might do that.
Cool.
All right.
Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easy.
Awesome. Thank you for coming out, bro. Thank you for doing this.
Always.
Amazing to have you on. Good to see you again, obviously.
Yeah,
Always.
Love you, Kev.
Always. Love
Yeah.
you, boys.
Yeah,
Love you,
bro.
boys. Miss you, boys.
Miss you too, bro.
Yes.
Yeah.
That does it for another episode of Verse Us with Eric Nicksick. Please make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube. Comment below who you want to see on the show or any questions you have for the show. Also, make sure you listen to the podcast wherever you get your audio podcasts at: Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play, iHeartRadio, all that. And make sure you follow the show on social media at VSUS Pod. For Eric and Kevin, I'm Randy. We'll see you guys next time.